Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Brick by Brick podcast. We have our first ever repeat return guest, Ethan, the Avenger, Season 1, Episode 2, the unofficially official Optic Collector. You guys can see already, he's swagged out. He's got the Optic controllers, he's got the flag that I want, and he is wearing a very special...
The craziest story behind this jersey.
Blackout 2015 jersey, and we will get into that a little bit later in the episode. Like he just said, it is a crazy story behind that jersey.
I love how we both figured it out too. Like,
dude, I love that you, like, if I remember correctly, you were like, "Hey, you got a minute?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And you're like, "Yo, can I call you?" And
pretty much how it happened. I was wearing it too. I'm like,
I was putting up my canopy outside.
Yes, I remember that.
I was building a Costco 10 by 20 canopy to put on the RV parking, and I just I had like my AirPods in and the phone was just like in my pocket, and I was like listening most of the time. And then you were like, "Look what I got." And I was like, "Hold on." I was like, I got my AirPods in. Like, hold on, let me go. And I pulled the phone out of the pocket. And I was like, what's that?
It's like, I got it. And you were like, "Dude, Hex sent it to you?" I was like, "No, even better. I found it." You were like, "What do you mean you found it?"
Yeah. Because that was, I think, after the whole one of one Twitter conversation, which if you guys don't know about that, this was a year ago.
It's almost a year ago, around September, October, I want to say. That's when I posted that tweet.
It was something on the Optic podcast about collectibles, and they were talking about like Brisk Mate, and like Hex said on the podcast, like, if you guys have any crazy Optic collections, if you guys are Optic collectors, like, tweet a picture and like we'll do something. And I think you DM'd me or you tagged me or something in that, knowing that I also have a decent collection.
Pretty decent collection of stuff.
I feel like mine has more variety with like TST and different
lonely
people. Yeah, and yours is like just Optic, just so much like and rare
at least
pieces.
The I guess you could say the vintage era. Well, not the vintage era, but like the stuff most people want, like the Nike hoodies.
I would consider it vintage. I know it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
But like, I would consider it vintage.
I guess. And it's crazy to think how like it all started.
Yeah. And so if you guys don't know, he has a crazy collection. I'll try to link the tweet in the description so you guys can go look at it. But basically, Hex was like, "Oh, that's a dope collection. Like, is there anything you want?"
So I remember
I'll let you kind of tell it how.
I remember just watching that podcast and hearing him be like, "If you have an Optic collection, send me a picture of your collectibles, and I'll, depending on how many of you there are," that's what he said. He was like, "I'll send you a one of one." And I was like, "This is my chance," because back then I did not have this. I wanted this. This is my favorite jersey ever. 2015. This is the 2015 Blackout jersey, and they only wore it at X Games. That was why they made this jersey. And my favorite Optic jersey design in general is the 2015 jersey. It's just very dynamic, the way it looks, and
especially Karma, since it's different.
Simple, yeah, that too. We'll get into that. But simplifying it, just blacking it out with like different shades of black and whatever the case may be. It's so clean. I love this jersey. And 2015, that's the year I graduated high school, so that's a very sentimental year for me. So I wanted this jersey very badly. And I remember thinking, if I ask him for that as a one of one, knowing that I have a pretty decent collection, I was like, if I ask him for that and he gives it to me, that would be wild. So I remember tweeting it at him and, thinking, oh, if he doesn't see it, it's whatever. At least I tried. But then I have the screenshots of when he liked both. And I was like, no way. And then my phone would not stop for like 2 days, just blowing up, people commenting, liking. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And at some point I was in like a Twitter thread in like the comments of the post. Somebody was like, "Oh, what are you looking for? What are you?" Oh, I think it was, "Are you planning to sell some of this?" And I was like, "Not yet. I still want to, there's still a couple things I'm looking for to complete the collection." And that's when Hector was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, no way. So that's when I tweeted the giveaway picture with Scump in it saying, if you retweet this, it was from 2015. If you retweet this, you have a chance to win a signed 2015 blackout jersey. I do wonder if the person who owns or who won that giveaway, if it has the Captain C on it, that'd be interesting. But what else? So I told him the 2015 blackout. He said if he had an extra, he'd send me one. But then he asked what else, and I'm like, what the heck could I? What else could I ask for? Like, I have no idea. So I forget what else I could have asked for. I guess I could have asked for like the missing jerseys that I don't have. I
The
only
Red Bull
the only
ones?
jerseys, huh?
The Red Bull ones?
Well, not that. It's
That
more.
would
It's more.
be
That would be
if
sick.
he said like what else to me, right? So like my one that for those that don't know, like my one piece that I would absolutely love, Ethan actually has. It's the 2010 jersey, Flawless's jersey.
Yeah.
I will buy that from him one day. One of these days, dude. It's gonna be like
One
20
day.
years from now. I'm gonna be like, hey yo, I finally got the
Hey yo,
cash.
I'm in the market for this.
We talking money? And
We talking money?
uh but if he asked me, like I know he doesn't have, any 2010 jerseys he's willing to part with.
Yeah. I don't know if
I
there
don't
like
think
there's
he has
probably no
one.
extras at all. There's probably no extras at all because
Well,
from
I
what
don't know if
Flawless
he
told
himself
me,
has one.
I wonder that too because he makes it seem like either he lost his, I have no idea, but they all had to pay for those jerseys to be made. Like the people that own their specific jersey, like Flawless told me, I had to pay for that. Like he
Yeah.
didn't just give it to us.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but it might have been in an episode or a post or something with Tumors, his brother, where it's like I'm pretty sure Tumors has one and Hex doesn't. I could be wrong.
Wonder why.
I don't know. But if knowing that it's pretty much impossible for me to get one, if he said what else, I'd be looking at those Red Bull jerseys
The Red Bull jerseys, quite literally, are just a whiteout version of this jersey, pretty much, with
with the
the
bowls
two
though.
bowls on the side.
But they
Because
never
the
got
20,
sponsored by Red Bull.
yeah, the 2015 jersey normally the regular like Friday and Saturday jersey has black and then the middle is white and it has like certain green strips. Like I think these are the green strips. But the 2015 white, it has gray and white, where the Red Bull jerseys, it's like a light gray and then the rest is all
It's
white. So
basically a
that looks
whiteout, yeah.
yeah, it's
Which
pretty much
like
a whiteout jersey.
my theme is like I generally like lighter colored and white themes. So like it would be fucking perfect for me. Like
And
everyone always goes crazy about like the blacked out version. Everyone wants a black version of something. I'm like, yo, can I
mhm.
get that in white? Like, yes, Mr. Wayne, it does come in white. Like,
That's a good reference. I like that one.
yeah,
Yes,
dude.
Mr. Wayne, it does come in white.
When I lived with my buddy Tony, we literally like the way that we separated our things was he's blackout, I'm whiteout. So
Hmm.
like even like our phone charger, little blocks, like he'd have black ones, I'd have white ones. Like, and so our
Wow,
thing was always like, yes, Mr. Wayne, it does come in black.
that's funny.
Yeah.
But to get back to the collect or to the tweet, um, the only things that I'm really kind of missing, which I guess I could have asked for, but it's all right. I'm only missing three jerseys. I'm only missing the 2011, 2012, which is the Eon jersey, which is my favorite Friday and Saturday jersey, and then the 2013 jersey. There's the only ones I'm missing, and then I will have literally every single year.
You'll have
But
2010 through. Do you get the current jerseys too every year? You get at
yeah,
least one?
I have the 2022. I have to buy the Optic Texas jerseys because I think the CDL versions doesn't have sponsors, but the Optic version, like sold on the Optic website, they have the sponsors on it.
Yeah.
So those are differences. I guess we can get into the differences of jerseys. So speaking of one of ones, and you talked to him about it, um, and we'll get into the story behind this jersey in a little bit. But my one of one, it's difficult to choose. I'd love a championship white specifically from 2016 because that year was just so dope, and I love the way that jersey design is. But there are two differences in jerseys from that year. So if you remember, if you go back and you watch the ESWC Vision when Optic played ESWC in Black Ops 3, the jersey, the sides, like, because it has a kind of arch that goes down the jersey. The sides are white, but the middle is kind of like a almost, I want to say a grayish kind of almost yellowish looking to it in the design. It's interesting. But the later version of that jersey, later on in the year, it's completely white. The design is still there, but it's white. And I think that's when they also added like the American flag and stuff onto that jersey.
Do you
But I
know
wouldn't know what to choose.
which episode of Vision that's in?
I think it's called Premiere. I could be wrong. If my memory serves me right, I think it's called Premiere. Hold on. Uh, Search this up. I love that my phone has the shortcut for it. Premiere.
Season 2, episode 4 premiere?
Yep, that's ESWC. And then if you watch any later Vision from that year, I wouldn't know what episode to tell you, but if you really look closely, you can tell there's a difference in the championship white jerseys, at least. I'm not sure about the regular, like Friday and Saturday jerseys, but there is a design difference, at least for the color. But there's also
I'm skimming through it right now. Looking for the
things like
shots of
that
the
interest
jersey.
me. Things like that interest me when it comes to like design differences and stuff. So like there's also um if you guys see pictures of the 2015 championship white jersey, the gray strip is normally here, like where it would be on the championship
Yeah.
white. But for some reason, on Karma's jersey during the last event in AW, the MLG Worlds event, the gray strip is here instead of here. And to me, I'm like, why was that? You know, I would love to get either an explanation or a story behind it. If we ever get one, that'd be cool. But things like that make me wonder, like, I wonder why that was a change.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
cool
was
to
it
me.
a printing mistake that they just overlooked? Was it a intentional design difference?
Mhm.
Like, because I remember you pointed that out to me. You sent me like a screenshot of Vision, and you were like, "Look at Karma's jersey." And yeah, it's exactly like you said. Like all three of the jerseys are identical, and then Karma's the gray strip is in a different spot. And I think we've talked about various other differences on jerseys and whatnot. Like I know one of the things you've looked for, like I've seen it on Reddit. You've replied to people regarding one of the jerseys. I don't remember which one, but basically asking like, "Oh, does it have this?" That's how you know it's like real. Like it'll have the print
Oh yeah, like the
for
the Raza serial number.
yeah, the serial number, and like, which I don't know how many people have like tried to make fake optic jerseys.
I think there was one person, and they tried doing it with the 2017 jersey, and I believe Hector found out who it was and like put a stop to it. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, at least.
Are there any other differences? But like, I know the big standout one is the gray strip on the 2016s.
What do you mean the 2015?
Or yeah,
So the 2017 jersey, there is also a difference on those. The 2017 jersey, initially when they first released, they had a white strip under the arms, and then as the season went on, the white strip went away, and also the color towards the bottom was a bit different. I don't know why that was. Could have been a printing or design issue thing. Who knows? But stuff like that, it interests me. I always wonder, like, I wonder what happened there. Because I believe in 2016 with those jerseys, Hector did say there were issues printing that year jersey. And also, there apparently are sponsorless 2016 jerseys. He made a video about it saying that they released the 2016 jerseys without sponsors, but it was only for a limited time. And then after that, you could get only the normal jerseys with the sponsors and stuff. So I wonder if there's anyone who owns those because I've never seen a photo with those. But there are also a earlier version of the 2016 jersey because if you look at I want to say when Vision first started, it's in a couple of Halo episodes, it's in a couple of CS:GO episodes. The black jersey looks different. I think I have a photo of it. The black jersey looks different, and the championship white looks a bit different than what they went to later on in the year. So stuff like that always intrigues me, and I wonder. I mean, I know Hector said they did this jersey for X Games in 2015, and it's so dope. It adds to the story that we won that event
seriously.
wearing this jersey. So
I mean, that's like the one thing that's weird for me that's always interested me with like optic design stuff is the shade of green.
Yes, and Hector has talked about that before, I believe.
It's changed a lot. Like
Hmm.
back, like I always associate it with being a darker green. Like it used to be, if you go back, you watch some videos from 2009 through 2000, like 11 or 12 or so. Like that green was significantly darker. If you
Yeah.
go watch, if you want the proper version of this montage with the correct soundtrack, you'll have to find it on Vimeo. The YouTube version, the audio, the songs are switched because of copyright claims over the years. But
Wow.
Zergriz's Matrix Reloaded montage in Modern Warfare 2, there's an 18 or 19-minute full version. It has part 1, 2, and 3 just stitched together on Vimeo, and it has an optic intro, like, which
Hmm.
is really interesting because Grizz was never actually a part of Optic, but I know he kind of helped them when it came to creating console content because he was the one doing it first. Um,
Yeah.
so like that montage, it has an old Optic intro. It actually has the one that features almost this version of the logo, and you can even see in there how much darker the green is
Yeah.
versus the stuff in the background of the room and stuff.
And just to
And
give a shout out, because I said I'd give her a shout out.
yes, we were talking about
Uh,
lock screens earlier.
so Tiffany, I think her Twitter at is it's Tiff or it's
It's
Tiffany.
it's underscore tiff 3110. I have her pulled
She
up right
made
now.
me she made me this lock screen because it's 2015 blackout jersey. It's my favorite jersey. So she made me this lock screen. One day I was just like, I want this jersey as a lock screen. I was like, hey, can you do this? Can you design this? And she was like, sure. She did it in
She's
like
like
2 days.
easy, yeah, dude. She, if you guys don't know who she is, go follow her. Like her work is actually insane.
She's
Again,
nuts.
it's
She's amazing.
underscore tiff 3110
So
on
shout out to her. I said
Twitter.
I'd give her a shout out.
Yeah, she. We were talking about it earlier when you said that you needed to give her a shout out. Like, I got a speeding ticket the first day back from Optic, Texas. Like there was
Wow.
the Texas Major 1 2022. That ended on the 7th. I flew back on the 8th, and I think I had like a dentist appointment on the 9th. It was literally the first like full day back in California. I get a speeding ticket. Like, you fucking kidding me? And the way they word speeding ticket and the prices is a little confusing. So I thought it was like a $600 ticket. And so I posted on Twitter, and I never do this, but I was like, hey, like if you guys can help me out, that'd be fucking great. And
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, Tiff actually cashed at me like $10, which it's not much, but it did help, and I
She's a real
appreciate
one.
it. And she is a real one. Like it was at that moment that I was like, you know what? I like this. I like her. She, and then I think that's actually like I don't think I knew who she was before that, or maybe I barely did, but then I realized that she was responsible for the flag, like optic
Yeah.
design,
Which is
um,
crazy how big that
which
design has gotten.
is
Like everybody uses it now.
for all sorts of teams and individual. Like that design really has blown up. Um, so yeah, huge shout out to Tiff. She's a real one. Everyone go follow her. Uh, Now, I suppose while we are on the topic of designs and jerseys and the 2015 blackout, now might
Wanna
be a
hear
good time
how we found it or how
to
I found it
to
actually.
dig in. So you guys heard earlier how me finding out went, right? He basically hit me up and said, "Hey, I need to call you." And so we hop on a Discord call, and he's like, "Dude, look what I found." I'm like, "Hold up. Let me pull the phone out of the pocket." And this guy, knowing that the 2015 blackout is his like one of one dream favorite jersey, right? I'm like, oh, cool. Like, heck sent it to you. Like, congrats. You got, and he's like, no, I found it.
Yeah, and you're
And
like, what do you mean you found it?
yeah, what do you mean you found it? So I'll let you tell your bit, and then I'll jump in how we kind of narrow down whose jersey that is,
Yes, we will
which
narrow
I
it
guess you
down.
can reveal when the time is right.
Well, it says Optic on the back. It
Oh, I
doesn't have
guess.
his
Oh,
name,
yeah. I guess it just says Optic. That's
which is
right.
it's even better because it just makes it a neutral Optic 2015
Yeah.
blackout jersey, which is it makes it even that much better. But so one day I think it was might have been a weekend actually, might have been a Saturday. I was probably cleaning my apartment, doing whatever, and I'm pretty active on the Optic Reddit. So especially when it comes to merch, because I'm always looking for stuff to add to my collection. So I see an alert for the Optic Reddit, and it's somebody asking if a jersey is real. So I'm like, okay, let me see. I check it out, and I see this. I see this just in the photos. I'm like, I'm stunned. My mind instantly goes, how can I buy it off of this guy? Pretty much. I'm like, how did he get this? Where did he get this? This is totally real. How in the world did he get this? Because there's no, unless he's the guy who won the giveaway. But the other thing was, he said he found it at a thrift shop. That is where he found it, a thrift shop of all places. But we'll get into that too. It makes sense how he got it. So I hit the guy up. I tell him, like, dude, listen to me. I'm a serious optic collector. That is my favorite jersey ever. Would you be willing to sell that thing? I will pay you a very, very handsome amount of money for that jersey. And so we get into Discord, we talk about it. Long story short, he sells it to me. So now I'm very, very curious as to how he got it. All he told me was like, yeah, it was at a thrift shop. I got it for like, what, maybe $5 or $10, I think. So it gets shipped to me. I was home the day it came in. I wasn't working, and I'm all happy. I'm all happy and whatnot, and I'm just like, this is great. I can't believe it. And I see the address is from Oregon, so I'm like, okay, Oregon, nice, whatever. But now I'm trying to dig. I'm trying to think. Okay, how the heck did this end up in a thrift shop? Who would have given it in? So I call this guy. I call Miles, and I'm just like, dude, I got it, but it's not from Hex. I got it from someone who got it from a thrift shop. And now we're both debating, like, well, not debating, we're just discussing how the heck did it get into the wild? Was it Crim Six's? No, his would have his name on the back. It's not fake, it's genuine because it has, the correct optic spelling on the back, the design matches everything, the Raza serial number matches. So we're like, where the heck could this have come from? It had to have been somebody who was in optic, but who? So now we're like, okay, where'd you say it came from? I was like, Oregon. And you're like, do you know Hitch's old girlfriend, Sam? I was like, yeah. He goes, she lives in Oregon, I'm pretty sure. And that's when it reminded me, I was watching one of Hitch's old vlogs, and in that old vlog, they were going bowling, and Sam said something to Hitch like, there's nothing better to do in Oregon than bowling. So I was like, there's no way. There's no way. There's like absolutely no way. So we're freaking out. Like this has to be, this can't be. So a bit more digging. I end up DMing Sam and asking, "Hey, was this yours? Like, is this who I think it was? Did this used to belong to Hitch?" She goes, "Yeah, that was his. It must have been in my stuff when like I moved back to Oregon and whatnot." So she gave it in a thrift shop. The guy who got it from the thrift shop posted it on Reddit. I found it, bought it off of him, and now, thankfully, it is in the right hands. But I mean, thank you, Jesus, that I was able to find this thing. I mean, I still can't believe that I own this thing. This thing's great. I love this jersey. I don't think you guys understand, but that is pretty much the story of how we found it. We were like contemplating this. We came to the realization at some point, this is Hitch's jersey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's also an Optic Intel video. If you guys on YouTube just search up Optic Intel, the first video that will come up is from Hex's channel, and it's like a trivia thing. And in that video, Hitch is wearing this exact jersey. So that is how this jersey got into my possession. We got to tweet this
The
at Hitch because he said when we record this to tweet it at him. So
the name of the video is Hex versus Optic Intel. Do I know Optic? It's uploaded by Hex 7 years ago, 140,000 views. Thumbnail is Hitch, and oddly enough, actually, wow. So the thumbnail
what?
is Hitch wearing that jersey, which is your favorite piece of all time. You know what shirt Hex is wearing?
What?
Give me
The
just
the
a
green
second.
Molsher, right?
Yes. He's wearing the green wall shirt that you actually sent me.
Really? Wow.
The
Look at how it all comes full
OG
circle.
bricked out green wall shirt. I'll grab it for the people watching.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts. I'm so definitely blessed that I was able to acquire this. There it is. The one of the OG designs of the green wall shirt.
Except I think his is a little
His mi-
bit different though.
it
His
might be one of the
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 f-
newer
the
type of
font on
designs.
his is that font.
It looks like it. I like that font on his shirt because I know what font you're talking about.
So it is slightly different. It's gone through variations. So my old school version of that jersey, like the OG one, it's actually the little lines in between the bricks are white, which that like is impossible, literally impossible to find. Like it's a
Yeah,
unicorn.
those are
That's for
one of
that
the
was a
first ones, I believe.
2013. It was, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the first iteration of that design. Um, but yeah, we just went down a rabbit hole finding that because I remember. So like I I'm not afraid to disclose my location. I live in Redding, California, right? It's on my Twitter profile. And I remember seeing years ago Sam was like on her way to Oregon, either moving or visiting home or something, and she ended up in Redding. She tweeted like in Redding for the day on my way back to Oregon or something. And I was like, oh shit, like and I think this is when she was still dating Hitch. I could be wrong. But I was like, oh, I live in Redding. She's in Redding. I think it's a small town being from a big city. But I don't know. I just thought it was cool. And like, I just happened to remember that within that tweet mentioned Oregon, home to Oregon. And so that's why I was like, hold on,
I think
where'd you
you were
say?
like,
You're all
yeah,
Oregon.
where'd you
I
say
was
that came
like,
from?
and then it's like, it all came back, went down the Mind Palace. And it was like, hold on, wait a minute. Someone with close affiliation to Optic lives in Oregon and had every reason to not want a jersey anymore, as one wouldn't after a breakup. And then I remember, yeah, you DM'd her, and I think I like worked or something later that day. And yeah, you were like, confirmed.
Yeah, this was Hitches.
So,
So it's like wild.
so Hitch, if this does end up on your Twitter feed, that is the story about how Ethan ended up with
And it's my
your
size. Like I'm a size large, so it's perfect.
dude. It's crazy how things like that work out. Like, there's been various pieces of mine that it's like I'm to the point now where unless it's something I really want, if it's not in my size, I don't buy it.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
buy it just to buy it. The one exception I made in recent times was the white baseball jersey, the champion baseball jersey, and that's because I know how rare that piece is. Very few people sell them. And I was like, you know, it's a medium that's close enough. Now, I typically get mediums for shirts, but jerseys and looser fitting clothing, I usually will go with a small. And like, that thing's pretty baggy. And just
Yeah.
that amount of bagginess is not my style. But I was like, you know what? I could probably find someone with a small that I can trade with. And instead, I found one on eBay that's a size small. And I was like, I probably should get that, but I kind of can't afford it right now, so I'm not gonna. And then I went on OfferUp, and it was on there as well. And I was
I
like,
I got rid of OfferUp because I hadn't found anything in so long on there. So I was just like, whatever. Plus the search feed on there is so like
it's terrible.
it's
It's
muddy.
not a.
It's
It's very muddy.
horrible.
That's a perfect word for it. So like, I see it on eBay, and then I'm like, well, like it's in the wild. Let me go look on other apps, see if I can, see if the same person's posted it somewhere else for cheaper. They have it listed at $30 less on OfferUp. And I'm pretty sure it's the same person because they're both out of Florida. And I'm like, well, just the rarity alone,
Might be the
like
same person
it,
then.
yeah. And so I bought it. The interesting part is that it's available on eBay. And if you buy it on eBay, they are under contract to sell it. So it's already shipped to me. They can't if you guys see it on eBay, don't buy it. You're not going to get it, or try to. It could be a different seller. It could be wrong. But yeah, I'm excited
Unless
for
they had
that.
two, maybe.
Unless they had two, which, and I'm pretty sure the pictures posted were identical,
Mm,
if I remember correctly. This is all within the last like week. So
yeah.
I will have an extra one of those that I might sell or keep. I don't know.
There's a couple of things. I mean, for people that are maybe wondering, because he'll put the tweet of my collection in the description, but there are a couple of pieces like that. Those pictures, it's almost a year old, so I've acquired some new stuff since then. But I do have a couple pieces. Like I have an extra 2017 white jersey I'd be willing to trade. I have what else? I'm contemplating trading one of my regular 2015 jerseys because I have two of them, but one of them has the person's old gamer tag on it. So I may be open to trading that one. I have a bunch of the pink pomage hoodies with like the red stripes on the sleeve. I have three of those, so I'd be willing to trade one of those or
You,
sell.
it's the one that I have, right?
I
It's
believe
got the
so.
pomage like rose. It's got red.
Hmm.
I might. I mean, it would be a direct trade. I have it in a small, but it is small. Like,
Well, yeah, I have three of them.
damn.
So, and
There's
they're
actually
all in a
one of
size large.
those. I think went up on. I want to say Mercari recently. Mercari or eBay.
Hmm.
If you search pomage on eBay, there's actually a few things will come up every once in a while.
Yeah. I found one of the Pomage Flash Nike
Mm,
Thermafit
it's
like crew necks, and I
it's.
bought it because it was my size.
Did you end up buying that one?
Yeah.
Is there
Not
another
not the
one
small.
or
It was a large. It was a while ago.
because I remember seeing it and like it was damn tempting. Okay, no, so there's actually still one available. It is a small. Yeah. So the small is actually still available, the Pomage Flash one. It's a dope jersey.
Well, it's a crew neck. It's not a jersey.
Or yeah, true.
But the lately, like I haven't been able to like I'm trying to think what was the last thing I added to my collection. Like the last thing I bought. It might have been the last thing I probably got was the short sleeve 2015 jersey. Because funny enough, how I found that one, it's crazy the amount of lengths I go to find things. I commented on somebody's YouTube video who was unboxing a 2015 jersey. And I was just like, yo, I think it was like a couple years ago. I was like, yo, would you ever be willing to sell this thing? And somebody else in the replies replied to me saying, hey, I have one, the same jersey, short sleeve. Would you be willing to buy it? I was like, totally. And so we met up on Twitter. We talked through DMs and stuff. And I ended up finding a short sleeve 2015 jersey through YouTube.
Dude,
Crazy enough.
it is crazy how some of those things come together. Like
Yeah.
there was something fairly recent in my YouTube comments like that. It didn't lead to a sell or anything, but no, this wasn't recent. This was like a year ago. Someone noticed on Instagram, if I remember correctly, it was a picture of an old, can't remember the year. It was either 2015, 16, or 17, but it
Hmm.
was a Call of Duty Championship white G Fuel cup, and it was a short
Wow.
shaker. And this guy collects G Fuel cups. He at the time was only missing a couple of them. That was one of them. I
Wow.
think he offered to buy that G Fuel cup off of me for I think over $100. I didn't
Wow.
have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it, but like he found it on an Instagram post 5 years later or something. And I'm like, dude, how? Like, that's how you know. And I was like, just the dedication alone and the fact that I really don't care about that cup, I was like, yeah, I'll sell it to you. Like, I was like, if I find it, it's yours. I think he has since acquired one because I went earlier this year, I went and found that DM just out of curiosity and looked at his collection, and he has it now. I don't know where he found it, but good on him for. I think he actually owns every G Fuel cup at this point. I think he's at 100% collection.
That's a interesting flex. Yeah, I have every single G Fuel cup.
ever. That's
Yeah, pretty much
wild.
like ever made. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's always weird like what some people collect. Like one thing that I'm always looking at the value of, but the value of it is not really that good. I have a Kobe Bryant rookie card. It's not rated. I don't know if it's good or anything, but it's like probably one of his least desirable rookie cards.
Hmm.
But especially since he died, rest in peace, I every once in a
Yeah,
while would go check the value of it.
true.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
I'd
mean,
sell it though. Like it's I try not to get too sentimental about things. That is one. My brother gave it to me.
mhm.
I was born and raised with purple and gold in my blood. Like I was born the same year that Kobe was drafted.
Wow.
Like there's just a lot. I'm a huge Lakers. I'm as big of a Lakers fan as I am an Optic fan. I just follow gaming and Call of Duty more than I follow basketball at this point.
Mhm.
But so I don't know if I'd sell it.
Yeah. Like this for me, I'm never getting rid of this. This to me is a treasure. I think there's a couple things I may not get rid of. I may not ever sell or part ways with, but if the time comes when the value of things really, I guess, gets up there, I'll probably part ways with most of my things. But
Yeah, like a 2010
it
jersey or something. I don't know.
it's well, yeah, that at some point we'll see. We'll see. I mean that's definitely I will say this. I'm the one member of the Green Wall who owns probably the two of the rarest things, or I consider rarest. Like the 2010 jersey is considered the rarest jersey
Mm-hmm.
ever, as said by Hex. This was rare because it was only people in Optic, and it was done in a giveaway, but they wore it for
And
X Games, stuff like that.
don't you own one of the Optic Envy team white
Yes, I also
windbreakers?
own the Optic Envy,
The employee only
the the
ones?
windbreaker with the Envy logo, the Optic logo, the stars on the sleeve. I have one of those too. So I have a couple of rare items that nobody will probably
Well, it's
ever
like
get their hands
the
on.
little plushie behind me.
The Optic pillow,
Didn't
yeah,
you say
the
that
OG
according to
pillow.
Hex, there's only like 50 of those or something ridiculous?
Supposedly, yeah. There's
Yeah.
only very few amount of those.
I
Um,
I definitely don't like outside of that one. I don't know if I have any ultra rare. I think the license plate is
yes, I missed out on that. That's something I wish I
I don't
got.
know if it's like rare. I just don't think a lot of people bought it.
They
And
were sold
then
out on the website when I would check.
I wonder how many they made. And then the one that unless they've made more, there's only 7 of them and they're not officially optic related, but the Hex Pine Park Xbox 360 case
Yeah, that's
signed
sick.
by Hex. That is one of my favorites just because of all the things that went into acquiring it. Like,
Yeah, and how you got it too.
yeah, like
At the meetup, like, "Can I have one of these?" It's like, I don't know." "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can have one."
like yeah, you can have one. And then he goes, actually, no, like I didn't bring them. Ask the shop owners. So I asked,
Mhm.
them, oh no, it's my custom collection. I was like, all right, yeah, like no worries. He said I could have one, but then said like double check, and the guy's like, all right, yeah, you can have one. And
That's
then
sick,
and then
dude.
I brought it to the optic major and had him sign it after the interview. So
Best way to have it
and
done,
he
in my
knew
opinion.
he knew as soon as we started talking about it, I was like, actually, I have that. He's like, I know exactly what that is. And I was like, damn straight, like it's a dope thing that someone just had made at
Yeah.
the Stockton, California coastal dispensary, coastal
Mhm.
Stockton or Stockton, something like that. Um,
Yeah, I remember you did a Twitter Spaces while you
the
were on
whole
your way
drive
there.
down, some crazy ass fog.
Yes, I remember you talking about that. That was actually a fun Twitter Spaces too. We
It
were talking
was.
about
I
a
want to
lot.
do Twitter Spaces more, but I feel like I don't know. It's like I think if I were to actually commit to doing Spaces, there would be no purpose of them. It would just be me talking about shit like
Hey man, some people be
movies.
interested.
Actually, one
I'm
thing I
sure some people
started
be
doing
interested.
kind of recently, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the app Hi-Ho.
No, I'm not.
Not a lot of people are familiar with it. It's not big, but I think the potential is there. You know how like TikTok, you can stitch and duet things, and through that method, you can kind of have a conversation.
Mhm.
The app is basically that, but on purpose. Like that's how the app works. Basically, someone starts a conversation. I say, "Hey, what were your guys' favorite movies so far this year?" It's video and audio only. There is no texting on the platform. So
Hmm.
you respond with an audio or video message, and then I respond, and then the conversation keeps going until it
Almost like
stops.
Marco Polo. There's an app like that called Marco Polo,
I'm not familiar with Marco Polo. I'll look into it. But
but
it's like that.
it's just video messages.
The swiping method is basically I would start the conversation. So I'm like the top of the tree or whatever. And then if you reply to it and then we keep going, like I can swipe over one side and there's your first initial response. And then I swipe down and it's my response, your response, my response. But if I swipe
Hmm.
over twice from the initial message, it's the next person's reply and then all of our conversation.
Huh.
So it keeps the
Interesting.
conversations between the individuals and you can jump in at any time and basically start a new branch or contribute to
Hmm.
that branch. I really like the concept. It's fucking cool. I've been using it a little bit more on various things. The one that got the most traction was actually me asking what people's favorite movies of the first half of 2022 were. That one was a cool conversation.
The Batman.
Batman was in mine.
The Batman
Batman
was a very good movie.
and Top Gun Maverick.
Haven't seen it. I
I've
want to see it.
I've seen it 4 times, 3 in theaters, and then once the day it came out on release. I pre-ordered it like 2 months ago on Apple TV.
I do want to see that
It
movie. I've heard it was
is
very good.
Hex tweeted it the other day. Or yesterday or maybe 2 days ago. He said, "Is name a better action movie than Top Gun Maverick? I can't think of one." And I said, "One does not currently exist." Like it
Yeah.
is, I think, the best sequel of all
Wow.
time. Now, traditionally, sequels are more or less disappointing. They never quite live up to the first one. A really good argument that someone could make would be Captain America the Winter Soldier. That movie's damn near flawless.
Lord of the Rings.
I knew you were going to say it. I don't know why, but I was like, this son of a bitch is about to say Lord of the Rings.
Perfect trilogy ever
Um,
created. Don't care what nobody says.
I'm going to say Star Wars. I will die on that hill. I
Star
watched Lord
well,
of the
listen, Star Wars
Rings.
is fun.
I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time this year.
You did, okay.
Extended version. Because
Yes, we did talk about
yeah,
this.
we've talked about this, but now we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched the extended cut. I have a coworker, big Lord of the Rings fan. And when he found out, like most, that I had not seen it, they lose their fucking minds. Right?
Gotta watch them.
It's understandable. It's like it's one of the biggest franchises of all times. It's regarded as one of, if not the best trilogy of all time. All the jokes about Lord of the Rings is that it's 3 hours or 3.5 hours of walking. Nothing happens. They just walk. And that's kind of how I viewed it. That's how I assumed it was because that's what you hear so much of that I was
Fair.
like, that does not seem entertaining. Plus, I grew up not liking fantasy. I thought fantasy was stupid and sci-fi was cool. I was very
Mm-hmm.
wrong. They're both awesome. But I was like, you know what? I'll watch it. I'll finally sit down and watch Lord of the Rings, and I will watch the extended cut because in the off chance I don't like it, and I'm like, well, those sucked. I'm never going to watch them again. I wanted to make sure I had all the context. I didn't like Justice League versus Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Zack Snyder's
Like
so much better.
the theatrical cut, it's not that it sucks, it's just that it's not really good. But the change from the theatrical versus the Snyder cut is so unbelievably different and improved on the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Besides the 4:3 aspect ratio,
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I know it was intentional for whatever reason. I don't love it.
Well, it's different camera shots. Things have better, like you get better longer shots instead
You
of
get higher,
wider shots.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember tripping out as a kid when they switched from 4:3 to 16:9. I thought it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that a theatrical versus a extended cut can be that different and improve something that much, I wanted to know that if I hated them, I hated them completely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched the extended cut. And afterwards, I don't think, like, it didn't blow my mind. I do think it's 12 hours of some of, if not the best pacing in movie history.
What? Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
I will
Dude,
say
for
this
12
because
hours, at no point was just like Snyder Cut. Okay, Snyder Cut's Justice League. It's a 4 hour movie. It's long. It's chopped up into I think 5 parts.
mhm,
3 hours in, I'm like, how long has it been? I'm like, oh fuck, it's been 3 hours. It feels like
you
it's
don't
been
you don't
30.
notice it's gone by. Yep.
12 hours of Lord of the Rings and all of it. At no point was I
You
like
said you did it
losing
in one
interest.
day.
Yeah.
Wow, you're a trooper. I have never
That may
done
not be
that. I
true.
want to do it.
I may have done. Now I don't remember. I thought I might have done it in 3 days, but my commitment, like if I'm gonna binge something, I try to do it right. I think I did it in one day. I might have done two one day and then followed with the third the next morning, which
So
I want to say it makes more sense because 12 hours is a long time.
it's a whole day. I mean, it's a whole work day. But this year, funny enough, shout out to my friends at church that I go to. We would go to their house in Staten Island, and one of my friends hadn't seen any of them yet, so we would watch the extended versions of Lord of the Rings. So I grew up watching only the extended edition of Two Towers. I never
The
saw the
regular
extended
version
of
of the other two?
yeah, never saw the extended of Fellowship, never saw the extended of Return of the King. But I did see I believe I saw the extended edition of Return of the King in the theaters in 2019. There was like a throwback movie showing.
Yeah, I did that
But
this year with The Fifth Element.
ooh,
Yeah.
but we would watch. We just finished the last part of Return of the King last week on Friday or Saturday, I believe, and I was just like, I was so happy. It felt so fulfilling just
I
watching it and just being like, ah, yes, this is
so
great.
so
I
the
love these
thing is, right?
movies.
Like something that we've discussed, not you and I, but like my friends, like Tina and I, is like, I just don't know what they could have cut. Like the
Oh,
pacing,
in the
the
extended editions, they can. There's stuff that they can leave out that it's like, oh wow, they left that out. I was watching Return of the
but
King. I'm
like
like,
at
oh,
no
that's
point
new.
was
That's
I
new.
like they can afford to cut that. Granted, I don't know what I'm comparing. Like I'm comparing it to nothing, but at no
Mm,
point was I like, that probably could have got like okay, so like Avengers Endgame, right? You have
mm,
Infinity War, you have Endgame. They tell the same story, like they're part one, part two. Most people regard Infinity War as better. Endgame, I think Endgame is better because it finishes like the saga, like its role in the MCU makes it better because it's the end.
mm.
Like Infinity War is the build up to the end, and like without,
Yeah.
I don't like if you guys are movie fans, you know what I'm trying to say. That being said, I have a really hard time rewatching the entirety of Endgame because I feel like Act One is so slow, and like they cut an hour out of that, and I still feel like there's a lot of stuff in Act One that is not necessary.
Yeah, I think for Return of the King specifically, I think the normal version of the movie is like 3 hours, and I think the
I
extended version is like 4 hours, I believe. I
So
could be wrong.
most of them, theatrical versus extended, are 30 minutes to an hour difference
Wow.
for all. Yeah, like I think between the three of them, I think the running time for theatrical versus extended for the whole trilogy, I think is like a 2 hour difference or something. You
Mm.
pick up almost like an entire another movie's worth. But like
Yeah,
that's the
that makes
thing is like
sense.
the pacing. I was shocked at how at no point did I realize how long it was. At no point did I get bored. I was fully invested in like it's I can never remember the name of this storytelling technique. People that have mastered it are
Mhm.
incredible, but it abuses your brain's need to close loops.
Mm.
And the trick to good
I'm just thinking about it.
storytelling is to open loops within loops and then open loops besides loops.
Hmm.
So like you start story A and then you tell a little bit, but then you start story B and you tell a little bit, and then you jump back to A to continue it, and then you jump back to B to continue it, and then you start C. It's like your brain stays engaged because you need to know the end of A. And so like you're gonna watch through B because you need to get to the end of A. But then B starts something where, well, now you're invested in that, so you have to get to the end of B. And I don't know if there's anything out that does that better than Lord of the Rings. Like the
Listen, man,
multiple, and apparently, like I haven't read the books. That's one thing I won't commit to. I'm not a big reader.
I have a friend who has the like it's all three books in one. That thing is legit weapon. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But like I've heard that there is so much additional detail in the books that like when you don't see, you're gonna hate me, but like there's certain like I don't know any of the characters' names. I know,
Fine. You've seen it once. It's
I know,
all
yeah, I
good.
know Gandalf. I know, Baggins. Um, what's it? Sam. Sam's the freaking dude. Sam's
I love how you called what pretty much the ring bearer. You called Frodo Baggins. It's like
Baggins.
okay,
Yeah.
but
Um,
what
but
was I gonna
what's
say?
the dwarf?
Gimli.
Um, Gimli. I think in the books there's like it tells you everything. Like you're like, where the hell did Gimli like? Where did they go during this part of the movie? In the books, literally tells you of like a 5-day battle that they're in
In
on their
in
own.
Fellowship, I think after Frodo gets the ring, he doesn't leave the Shire for like 20 years, I think. In the books. I could be wrong, but I know it's a significant amount of time. Like after Frodo gets the ring, he just hides it away for a while and doesn't do anything with it.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Are you excited for the Amazon show?
No. Because Lord of the Rings will always just be those three movies to me. I haven't I've seen the last Hobbit movie. I haven't seen the first two. I have a friend who gets very upset with me for doing that, but I don't
Is
care.
the
She knows
last
who
one
she
Battle of
is.
the Five Armies?
Yeah.
I've seen that one. And
I've
I
seen
saw
that one. I
that
haven't seen the first two.
I didn't want to see it. Same. I didn't want to see it. I had a friend, it came out in like 2014 or 15, I believe. And like my friend was shipping off to the Marines, and I think it was either right before he shipped it. It was something around that where it's like I knew I wasn't going to see him for a while. And he was a big Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fan. And so like we all went and saw it like in theaters as like I did it for him. I had no interest
Hmm.
in the movie. That was one of the first times that I went, okay, like that actually wasn't bad. There was a lot of action. Like I don't know anything about the storyline, but like maybe it's not as bad as I thought that fantasy genre was.
Hmm.
And then the show that really opened my eyes and made me realize that fantasy is actually pretty dope is Merlin.
I haven't watched that.
I had a buddy he did not like the ending. He said the ending was dog shit. I think the ending was pretty good, but that's the
Hmm.
show that throughout I think it's like 5 or 6 seasons, and excuse me, throughout the show, like I was like, you know what, like I'm really invested in these characters. Like the magic is cool. Like fantasy is actually
Pretty
pretty
dope.
cool. Yeah. And then, I've transitioned. I started watching more and more fantasy stuff, and most recently was Lord of the Rings.
So now I must ask you, out of those three movies, which one is your favorite? Or which one, if you had to choose a favorite?
Out of the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
I could not tell you, not because of they're all equally good, but because
Hmm.
of the way that I binged them all as the first time I ever watched them. I
Yeah.
literally don't know where one ends and the other begins. It like the way
Okay.
that my brain
Fair. That's
remembers it
understandable.
is a 12-hour movie, not 3 4 hour
Wow.
movies. Like I
Hmm.
only remember it as this in the entirety of it. And that's another thing that they do incredibly well is like the second one picks up right where the first one ends. Like the blending there is so seamless that if you watch them like I did, just literally one stops and you barely take time to get up and pee before you start the next one, like there is no way that my brain can decipher. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do want to do it again. They're great. Now, one thing that a lot of listeners and viewers are going to, like that meme that's like, what's your opinion that has you like this? And it's all the swords from,
Okay. Yeah.
um, what movie is that?
I know what
Road
you're
Del
talking about, but I don't.
Dorado? No, it's an
I
animated
don't
movie. You
know.
know the meme.
I know the meme.
So here's my controversial Harry Potter sucks.
I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to agree because I didn't grow up really watching those movies.
I
Did
just
I enjoy them? Yes. Prisoner of Azkaban is probably my favorite, but the movies
I
they're all
watched
right.
I feel like a lot of people hold Harry Potter so incredibly high up. They have it
Me,
on the same
me,
level as things like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and I just feel like that's disrespectful.
me and my friends they have us like they've categorized us into each house. So like I'm in Hufflepuff, another one of my friends is in
Oh,
Hufflepuff. Like
I'm
they do stuff like that with us,
take a
and I'm like,
guess.
okay, whatever. You're Slytherin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could tell. But like they were just like, "Oh, what would you be?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what I'd be." I just kind of guessed like maybe Hufflepuff because I could care less, but like I don't see myself being a Gryffindor, a Slytherin, definitely not. I forget the other houses, but yeah,
Uh,
that's what they do.
I
It's them. They have
I mean,
fun
we
with
did
that.
we did Thanksgiving last year, Harry Potter themed. All the
Hmm.
decor was Harry Potter. I hung up like I'll either post pictures or send you some of the pictures. There's not many. But like
Hmm.
we had the four corners of the living room. Tina designed actually some really cool banners for each house. Everyone dressed up wearing the colors of the houses. All the dishes were from the movies. We have a Harry Potter cookbook. None of this is because anyone involved is a Harry Potter nut.
Hmm.
We just did it because it seemed kind of like a fun way to do Thanksgiving in a different way. And because of this, like one, treacle tart is an awesome dessert, by the way. Like
What is that?
it's supposed to be, I think it's Harry's favorite like dessert.
Hmm.
It's what actually is it? It's a lemon. It's a traditional British dessert, the earliest known recipe. That's a cookbook. Taste. What's it taste like? Its a main component is golden syrup. Treacle tart is sweet, although the lemon juice helps in cutting through that. So it's like a citrusy, lemony dessert dish. It's almost like a pecan pie texture without the pecans on top, but the flavor is like sweet and like tart and lemony, which I like lemon, so it's delicious.
Hmm.
Um, but because of this whole theme, we watched all the movies.
Yeah.
And my problem with the movies, it's not that they are inherently bad movies. It's that Harry Potter is the name of the story and everything. And at no point does anybody in the movies look like they know what the fuck they're doing. Like I get that we're watching them learn and they're in school, but it's
Hmm.
like I I'm one of those that like if I'm going to watch like a hero's journey essentially, I want the climax. I want the part of, spoiler alert, if you've somehow not seen Avengers Endgame, I want, like, Captain's my favorite character, him finally lifting up the hammer, like, the one of my favorite movie memories ever. Like, that might be my favorite scene of all time in movies, but it's
Hmm.
because we finally get it. They teased at it. He has the correct character to be able to pull it off, and you get to
Hmm.
see him enter badassery for just a moment. And then obviously the rest of the movie happens and some shit hits the fan. You never get that in Harry Potter. I'm like, at no point
I
do
can
you
see what
reach
you
the
mean.
part of all of their work has paid off and they've achieved mastery of wizarding.
Hmm.
No, they all pick one spell, get pretty good at it.
I mean, it's been a while since I've watched all the movies. Some I've seen a little more recently than others, but yeah, I can see what you mean.
Whereas Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, these guys look like they've been doing wizardry for 30 years and
Yeah,
are
it does have a bit more of a
badasses.
it has a bit more of a complete feel. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I haven't even seen all of those ones, which I think there's only
I haven't seen all those either.
I haven't seen the most recent one. I've only seen the first one.
Hmm.
But like they just look like they know what they're doing. They're utilizing a wider variety of spells. Plus, I just think some of the it's not like Harry Potter was made for kids, but it's just like some of the stuff they do is just doesn't make sense. They're just, I don't know.
All
That's
right,
that's my
movies.
movie
But
opinion that I feel like has me just with the swords at my throat.
before we hop off of this fiction topic, have you heard? You probably have. I love these series of YouTube videos. Have you heard of the back rooms?
No.
I will send you a playlist.
What's it called?
Mo- it's called the back rooms, but it's
The
it's a series of videos. I'm gonna send you a playlist. It is by somebody named Kane Pixels.
Uh-huh. I
It
see.
is it's fiction, but it's done all in Blender. He makes all these videos in Blender, and he's made an entire coherent story around what started off as a 4chan post slash meme. Somebody posted a picture of like an empty office space on 4chan in I think 2019, and the picture had like yellow wallpaper. It was an empty office space. It just looked kind of eerie and a little unsettling. And you know what no clipping is in a video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody said when you no clip out of reality, that's where you end up. You end up in the back rooms, and it looks like that. So those series of videos, he's done a phenomenal job. He's still working on the series. The series is ongoing, uh, as you know, this
Is
video
the
is being recorded.
first video the one called Found Footage
Yes,
from 7 months ago? It's got a fucking weird looking robot Slenderman thing.
that's an entity, and it's called bacteria. But yeah, I'll send you a playlist.
Okay.
Everything, trust me when I say this, there is a timeline order to things. The story is very coherent and it is very interesting. It starts off a bit slow, but it's one of those things where when you watch it, you're like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. I see where this is going. So it's super, super interesting. Check out those videos. One of my favorite pieces of just, people call it horror. I don't find it to be horror. It's more just thrilling, unsettling, and just I don't know. It's cool to me. I find it awesome because it feels real. When I first watched that found footage video, I thought it was real. I thought he went to a place like that and was walking around with a camera, and I'm like, where is this? This looks real. And I found out it's all in Blender.
All
He
in
all has to
Blender.
make it, and he all has to direct it in
Dude.
Blender. I'm like, this guy's talented. And the best part, he's only 17.
Dude, that's well, like when I see stuff out of Unreal Engine 5, oh,
It's
and we're
ridiculous.
barely scratching the surface of the capability of it. I'm gonna keep us
Ridiculous.
on these movie topics actually for another moment. Either that or we're
Yeah,
gonna circle
go
back
ahead.
around to them. Um, One, you mentioned there is a viewing order of
Yes.
these things. You're a Star Wars fan. We were talking about lightsabers earlier, and we can get back into those in the middle of this. If you knew nothing about Star Wars, or rather, if you had a friend that knew nothing about Star Wars, what order would you have them watch the first 6 movies? We're not even going to
I
count the sequels because
technically they're not canon anymore anyway, supposedly from what I've heard, but that's a different
supposedly,
topic.
because
I
I feel
personally
like there is definitely a correct ideal viewing order if you know nothing about Star Wars.
It depends because now it's okay, do you want to learn the tragedy of Darth Vader or do you want to learn the story of Star Wars? Learning the tragedy of Darth Vader is okay, well, I guess I kind of have it backwards. The tragedy of Darth Vader is, I guess you could say you watch 4, 5, and 6, and then you watch 1, 2, and 3 because you find out how the tragedy happened. If you want to find out the story of Star Wars as a whole, you watch episode 1, episode 2. If they really get into it, which is what I'm doing because I never finished the series, or I never watched it, I should say. I'm watching Clone Wars right
I'm
now.
also watching Clone Wars right now.
So
It's
if they're a
fucking
big fanatic, you
awesome.
want them to get, yeah, it's very, very good. If you want them to get the full picture, they can watch all of Clone Wars, then go to episode 3, then 4, 5, 6.
Apparently, and you probably already know this, but there's also a viewing order to Clone Wars for ideal viewing, and there's a viewing order for ideal viewing, and there's a viewing order that is based on story arcs. So you can basically
Okay,
watch certain episodes, and they'll cover an entire story arc, and then you move to another chunk of episodes, and they are kind of sporadic.
I can see that, yeah,
I'm
because
like halfway. I'm like in season like end of season 3, beginning of season 4 or something. So like I'm too far in to go down that route. I wish I would have known about it before I started.
I think I'm in season 4 right now. I just started season 4.
It is really good so far though. Like
Oh
I
yeah, it's great.
growing up, I didn't watch it because I thought they were dumb cartoons.
hmm
And like I hate younger me's brain for that decision
But
because
now it's worked out because now we get to watch it all
we get to
in
binge
one
it.
sitting.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait for the next episode to come out.
So I don't think your order is bad or wrong. I just think that the ideal way to watch would be 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. So
Ah,
you get
interesting.
4, which I still think 4 is the best way to introduce Star Wars.
And they have to watch
It
the despecialized edition.
it does. Yeah, I grew up watching the original box set VHS.
Okay,
So
yeah, so
I'm very grateful for being 26 years old, but still having grown up on like the OG.
hmm
Um, so you get 4, it introduces you to Star Wars, the Force, the entire universe of what Star Wars is. You get 5, which has the big reveal, one of the biggest cinema moments of all time. Luke I Am Your Father.
Hmm.
Um, or No, I Am Your Father. What's the
Whichever
actual?
one.
Yeah, I think
I think it
there's
was just. I think it was just
Search
I
Your
am your
Feelings.
father. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I
We have
think
to.
it.
You
I
have to have
think
the specialized edition, and you'll know.
yeah, I think it's just I Am Your Father. There is no Luke at the beginning.
Or no.
So you get that, and then you basically flashback, and you learn Anakin's story, and you get
Hmm.
to see this kid with these bright eyes and big hopes, and he wants to be a Jedi and go save the galaxy, and you get to see
And
his story change and
you see the
turn,
politics of the Star Wars universe and how the
and then
outer
you
rim is
end
compared to the
with
normal one or the inner rim, whatever.
you end with what I think will officially go down long term as the best and everyone's favorite Star Wars movie, which is Episode 3.
I love
And
Episode 3.
then you learn that Anakin is Darth Vader or becomes Darth Vader, and then you go, "Oh shit, Anakin is Luke's father. Like they're one and the same." And then you jump back into 6 to finish it off.
I actually want to try that now. I want to try watching them like that.
It's really good. It's a lot less good because you know the story
Hmm.
already. I did when I first learned about that viewing order, I almost immediately went and did it. And
Hmm.
like I agree with everything it says. It's just you know what's coming. So like it doesn't
Yeah.
add that much sustenance. Um reason why I think episode 3 will go down as everyone's favorite is basically because of memes. Like
Memes, the
that
lightsaber
it
fight.
it has aged better than almost any movie I can think of. Like
I'd
people
say so, yeah.
generally love episode 3 now. And look at how poorly the prequels are received. It's
I
like
don't know what I mean, yeah, the prequels, especially episode 1 and 2, they have their moments where it's like, really, does
apparently
that need to
there's
be
a
in there?
viewing order that includes dropping 1. It's like I think it's like 4, 5, 2, 3, 6 or something.
Hmm. I mean, understandably, because I think one could have been done a bit better. Attack of the Clones could have
They
been a
get
bit better.
better in the order in which they were released.
Yeah,
Like
episode 3
1,
being the best.
even being the Star Wars fan that I am, episode 1 is kind of difficult to watch.
Difficult to watch, but it gave us Darth Maul, so
It gave us Maul. Yeah, and that's another I need to watch Rebels still.
yeah, I need to watch that too.
And that I know that covers a lot of Obi-Wan, Darth Maul
Hmm.
story, which I'm
And then I
very
know
interested in.
Vader's in Rebels, right?
I think so. I've seen clips of like I've seen a montage. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube, Slifer. It's followed by some numbers. I can never remember the numbers, but he does like
Hmm.
tribute videos. Like he has a Captain America tribute video, and the guy does such a good job. Like, oh man, I love when he comes out with these videos, and it'll stitch pieces from all sorts of different moments throughout this character's story to ultimately sum it up. And like he scores it beautifully. The guy's an incredibly talented editor. He has one for Maul, and
Hmm.
like I'll send it to you if you're not worried about Rebels spoilers. But
No,
like
you can send it.
that video made me go, okay, I really need to watch Rebels. Like
Have you
Darth
seen
Maul's character arc is incredible.
have you seen the video Obi-Wan has PTSD?
Yep, both of them. There's 2 versions
That
of
video
it.
is
I
great.
need a version. You guys are they're Disney, mostly Lucasfilm, I guess, loves making changes to the original trilogy. They've done it multiple times throughout its history.
Hmm.
Please give us a version that actually includes that video.
That would be amazing.
Dude,
Dude.
dude, yeah.
That would
So
be
I do
crazy.
like, I'm assuming you watched Kenobi.
Yes, of course.
They almost have like a snippet, small version of that throughout that
Hmm.
show. And I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's in episode I don't remember correctly. But there's a moment where like I recorded myself watching the whole first episode. And like there's moments where I'm getting teary-eyed because I'm like, I've just been waited so long for this.
Hmm.
And like, oh man. It was so beautifully done. I think I have a there's a guy that edited the show down to a 2.5 hour movie. I've not
Wow.
watched it. I have it downloaded on my phone. I insta downloaded it for fear that it will be removed from the internet.
I don't blame you.
But on the topic of Star Wars, rant transition, lightsabers. You
Yes.
have some
So
You're a collector of things.
I'm a collector of things. I will show the public, show the YouTube people. If you don't know, no, this is not a toy, although it looks like a toy. There are lightsabers that people themselves like. There, there's something called a NeoPixel lightsaber, and it is programmed. It has multiple sound fonts, and what I mean by sound fonts is it's different character lightsaber like blades and colors and hums. Each lightsaber has a different hum and certain variations of blue and stuff. So this is Anakin's from episode 2. It's called Tusken Slayer when he kills the Tusken Raiders on Tatooine.
Not just the women, or not just the men, but the women and children too.
Not just the men, but the women and the children too. This is Anakin's hilt from episode 3. I love this hilt. I grew up with the toy of this
Same.
thing.
That's
So
like the childhood lightsaber of mine.
whenever I hang out with my friends, I bring it pretty much everywhere because it's so much fun to just swing it around. It has something called
Yeah.
smooth swing. It's very dope.
Dude, they correct me if I'm wrong. They have the thing where if you just drive the tip like into a solid surface,
Hmm.
it
Yeah, this has that. I mean,
dude,
oh,
that is like one of my favorite things, the
so
constant pressure.
it has something called blade lock. So, and then there's lightning block too.
See,
So
the
that's that.
unfortunate part is that the frequencies of the sound do not get picked up by the mic very well.
Ridiculous. It's
But
annoying.
just TikTok search NeoPixel.
Yeah, NeoPixel
Thousands of
lightsabers, and you'll
videos.
see.
They're incredible. I mentioned it earlier before we started recording, but do you know how a lightsaber
The
retracting sound?
retraction.
Yeah,
No, I do not know.
they made that sound by reversing the sound of ignition. That's
Wow.
all
I
it
never.
is.
That makes sense.
It's the ignition sound reversed. And
That
it's
makes
so
sense.
simple. But like if you think about the technology that they were working with in
Hmm.
1976, in 1977 when these movies were being filmed, and like there I haven't watched it completely, but there's on Apple TV a like little mini series or maybe it's just like a mini documentary about
Are you sure
Star
it's
Wars.
Apple
It
and not
was
Disney?
no, it was on the
Because
Apple YouTube channel is actually where I found it. So maybe it's not on Apple TV, the app.
because there is something on Disney Plus called Light and Magic,
There, I
which
need to
I
watch
need to
that.
finish.
I
I
need to
started
watch
it. It's pretty
like,
good.
dude. I watched the trailer and I was just like, holy shit! Like this is
Yeah,
why I love
it's
movies. It's
it's dope.
incredible. Um, you know that actually might be what I'm thinking of. Is that the thing where they talk about how they basically like invented Photoshop and stuff?
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So that's Light and Sound. I'm thinking of
Light and
Behind
Sound. I'm
the
thinking Light and
Mac
Magic.
Skywalker Sound on Apple. It's on their YouTube channel.
Interesting.
Um,
I'd like to watch that,
Skywalker
but I don't have Apple
Sound
Plus.
is basically a sound library
Mm-hmm.
that many movies, not just Star Wars, not just Lucasfilm, but many movies utilize Skywalker Sound. It is like a central hub for probably any sound effect you can think of in a movie.
Hmm.
Lives in
Interesting.
yeah, and it's all
It all came from Star Wars.
dude, that's why I will die on the hill that like Star Wars changed cinema in a way that
Oh,
the
for
only thing
sure.
that we have seen since Star Wars that has had the same amount of impact in a different way is the MCU.
Yeah, because of
The
how big it's been.
how big it is, and they were able to do what Star Wars started, which was
Mm-hmm.
to tell a multi-layered, multi-character story on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel did it better, arguably, but they also
Yeah.
they did it bigger. And like
Yeah.
that's something that had never been done before, and you'll see it done before again. You'll never see it done for the first time again. And like Star Wars, especially just looking at the trailer of Lights and Sound, like the stuff that they had to do to get these movies done.
It
Like
was all using miniatures, using actual lighting, props, stuff like that. I mean, rotoscoping for the
I've
lightsabers.
become a really big fan. Like I really appreciate practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I've paid attention, Top Gun Maverick, practical. They sat
Wow.
these actors in the back seat of F-18s behind real fighter pilots for filming. Like there's
Wow.
only I think one scene in the movie that's CGI.
I need to
Yeah.
watch that movie now.
The Dark Knight Rises with Bane. They crashed a plane. The
Yes, they
opening
did do
sequence,
that.
practical effect. Christopher Nolan's notorious for them. I just rewatched Tenet, and then I went down the rabbit hole of watching some behind the scenes on Tenet. That's another crazy one. Like they crashed they drove a 747 into a building. Like,
Must be fun making a movie like that.
dude, I just really like you can't there the one thing that's cool with CGI is what they're doing. I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes on how they film things like The Mandalorian and
So, oh yeah, like the
Batman.
video
The
walls.
video walls, it's all running on Unreal Engine 4. I'm excited to see what they can do with Unreal 5.
We'll see. Only time
Um,
will tell.
so let's flip directions completely. We talked about movies a lot. It's really easy for me to do. I love movies. I've always
No
wanted to make
worries.
more and more content around movies. I just don't know how I want that content to be.
Just do a movie reaction channel. They're blown
I
up.
I know. I think I might have to. I talked about it a little bit on the episode with Jibs this season.
Hmm.
Season 2 episode 8, I believe. Um I don't know the legality around using movie clips, and he said he actually does know, and as long as it's from the trailer, you can use it because the trailers are licensed under public licensing.
Hmm.
If it's not in the trailer, that's where the copyright and legality claims come in.
Hmm.
So, but that's always been kind of my fear is like, well, I don't know how these people do it because copywriting has become such a big
Well,
thing.
I think it's because you can't upload a full reaction of you watching the movie. It's more so like you're cutting it up and
Yeah.
you're cutting clips together of your, like, I guess the best points of the reaction. And um you're it's also under fair use, I think, too. Like they can't just be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is ours. You can't do that." Like, no, there's fair use involved as well.
Yeah. So like, but the details of that have always
They've been a bit cloudy.
they've made me hesitant. But I don't know.
I don't blame
We
you.
might dig into it more. Let's transition though back to some optic related stuff.
Yeah,
I'm glad that this is going all over the place. By the way,
I
we've
same.
we've covered all of your optic related stuff mostly in the first episode, and we touched up the first half of this one on
Mhm.
various things, including the story behind your jersey, the one of one from Hex, stuff like that. So I'm glad that we're finally like that's the cool
I
part
do gotta
about having.
be a bit more specific. I mean, if Hitch or if Hex somebody watches this, I know Hex is a busy man. That's why I don't want to like bother him or reach out to somebody be like, "Where's my one of one?" I'm still waiting patiently, but I wouldn't know like what to choose because obviously I would want a 2016 white, but now it's like, okay, which version of the jersey do I want? Do I want the one pre like second half of the season? Do I want the ESWC version that I guess I could call it, or do I want the later half with the American flag on it?
The Red Bull
And what I
version.
want, yeah, because if I were to get the one that they had from ESWC, if Hector happened to have one with Karma's name on it, I'd want that one. But if there's a long sleeve version with the American flag on it with Formal's name on it, that's the one that I'd want, the championship white. So that would be my choice of one, if possible.
You know what we need actually? Something that's never
Hmm.
been done before. We need Doug Sensor Martin to join the optic squad so that they have reason to create a sleeveless version of a jersey.
That would be sick. Well, didn't don't you? Oh, you have a tank top shirt, right?
I have a 4th of July American flag optic one
Yeah, that's
from
what it
I
is.
think it was from the Scuff House days. That's actually I think I don't that's another one that I don't know how rare it actually is, but I have never seen somebody else post with it.
I've never seen somebody post with that
I
either.
think the only other time I've seen it is on Flame Sword when he was on Optic.
Probably.
Like, yeah, I
Funny you mentioned
actually.
sensor too, because I have a phase sensor jersey.
Oh, do you, dude?
Yep.
If you ever have the chance to meet him, and this goes to anybody, do it. He is one of the most genuine people I've ever met. I met him. He
Wow.
did a meet and greet at 2019 Champs, and like it wasn't a meet and greet. Oh, hey, thanks for coming. Snap a picture. Bye. It was like there was young people there that were asking about going pro, and he was having like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 minute conversations with people.
Wow.
Like no rush to like, okay, we have a line, come on. Um, Yeah, it was awesome. Shout out Sensor. He's actually, I really
Shout
like
out
him
Sensor.
as a player. I get why people hate on him. I know that he has some controversial, oh, this is my year, every single year
Hmm.
type tweets. I think
It's Doug.
it's Doug, and I think a big chunk of it is he knows how to draw attention and views and engagement. Like
And listen, he does content very well.
he,
Not a lot of the pro players in Call of Duty can say they do content as well as Doug does.
yeah, I think like outside of Optic and no, complete outside of Optic, I think Doug's really the only other one that like kills it.
I agree.
Octane, pretty good most of the time. Um, Attach actually kills it too.
Attach is
Attach
really
kills it.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, Zuma. Come on, man.
I'm not going to count him because he didn't
Really?
really start content until after he retired.
Okay, fair.
Like when he was competing, eh.
I love Zuma. I love the flank. I love the Zuma
But
Mafia. Zuma is hilarious.
post retirement, I think he's done better than anybody.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
dude,
of
what he's done with
course.
the flank is incredible. Like we talked about on the last episode of the podcast, like it's his potential for content creation is incredibly high.
And it's such a like the name is great. The flank. I mean, he could have any guest he wants. It's all on Discord and
The
people can join in and out. It's great.
Yeah, like that's probably one of the best content segment pieces that Call of Duty has ever seen.
Definitely,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, but with the talk on Call of Duty, obviously we have some roster changes going on, roster mania. FaZe announced today that Slasher is joined.
Yes, I heard
I
that.
don't know if that's an improvement over Arcides, unless there was some sort of inner turmoil that we don't know about.
It
But like
seemed
from
like
a
there
player
was.
like ability and a player's skill set, I don't know if it's necessarily an improvement.
Let me ask you something, because this is a hot topic, especially amongst the COD competitive Reddit. Do you consider the phase lineup from Cold War,
Is the
do you
dynasty
consider them?
question?
Yeah,
No.
I don't either. This is the reason why I say this. How many events were in Cold War? 5? Because you had 4
Think
majors, then
so.
champs. This is my problem. And people, for whatever reason, people count MW. They count Modern Warfare as part of their dynasty start. I'm like, our
Oh,
cities wasn't even on the team.
even if we count that, which
It
I
was
do,
5v5.
even if we count that and I do, I still don't think it's enough to be dynasty top.
Because people like, yeah, they say champs, which I agree, champs is a big. It's up there on the scale
Well,
because you win a
like MW
ring.
2019, I think FaZe was hands down the best team in that game.
I agree.
Even though Empire won, I think
Hmm.
FaZe was still the best team in that game.
They were
Like
definitely
by
the better
far.
team.
Empire just showed up at the right tournament at the right time.
Hmm.
But FaZe killed it all year.
All year in
It's
Cold War
like
for sure.
in the same way, okay, was because they didn't win champs, was Optic not the best team in the game during the Jetpack era for the first two?
No, they are
It's like no,
regarded
they were
as
hands down the best team. They just didn't win champs
the
twice.
the best advanced warfare team, no question about it.
Yeah.
The only other argument is FaZe, but FaZe did not win as much as Optic
No, and they
that
weren't
year.
as dominant. Like there's only
Yeah,
been 3 teams in Call of Duty history that I've seen on that level of dominance. And there's overlap on one of those teams. That's Complexity EG,
hmm
right? Basically swapped names, are essentially the same roster,
yeah.
right? So like they're the overlap. There's the Optic Dynasty squad. And then I think it's OG, it's before anything, but I think still the most dominant team I've ever seen in Call of Duty history is Freako Impact during their 4-chip run on Black Ops 2. It looked like they were playing pubs.
Yeah, I mean
Like
Karma with a what was it, a
28.
25 streak?
28. And in a
28.
recent reaction video, he stated that he fucked that up and could have gotten it to 35 probably.
He did say that, which is like, are you kidding me?
Like I get that the competition wasn't as high as it is today. We have the most competitive Call of Duty now. It's just natural when you take the pool and narrow it down to the top 48 players.
Hmm.
but they made that's for those that don't know your Call of Duty history. 100 Point Club originated in Black Ops 2 with the inception of Hardpoint. And Farico is the team that essentially, I don't know if they didn't necessarily coin the term, but they were the ones doing the 100 Point clubbing
They were doing it to everybody,
to everybody. So I still think that they're the
which is
most
wild.
dominant team I've ever seen. And I didn't watch during Modern Warfare 3, but based on history, I would say that Optic in Modern Warfare 3 is also along those lines. I know that they
They
were
only
incredibly
lost one
dominant.
event that year,
Yeah, fucking
and it was
cold.
because Scump was cold.
Yeah. But yeah, so in regards to FaZe Dynasty talk, I think the potential is there. I think if they win champs this year,
Well, it's over now. Our city's gone.
if they won Vanguard champs, then
Yeah, I would be like, okay, they're a dynasty.
yeah, but they didn't, and like it was close. Now,
And
if
also,
they
too,
win
like,
next year, if they win with Slasher and you have the core 3, I think you could still have that conversation. You could
there's an argument there, yeah.
like you swap because I mean, look at Complexity EG. They had a 1 player change at one point from
Same with Optic.
Clayster to Karma.
Yeah, and then same with Optic.
But
Only
it's like
they
the core
swapped
was Aches, TP, and
Crim.
Crim. So it's like I'm okay. I think a dynasty talk can continue if it's a single player switch.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just to me like they make such a big deal. Obviously, FaZe was the best team in Cold War. They were the most dominant all year. But my thing is,
They were the most consistent
okay,
in Vanguard. I'll give them that.
yeah, that's true.
Placing
The
wise,
the thing with me is and obviously I know it goes into how the CDL runs their event structure, whatnot. Okay, FaZe, they won what, 4 events in Cold War?
mm-hmm.
One of those events being champs. The way that I look at it, congratulations. Optic won 4 events in IW. ESWC, Dallas, Stage 2, champs. That's 4 events. They could have won more. And now you can make the argument, oh, well, yeah, FaZe could have won more, or whatever the case may be, in previous games or whatever, and there were more tournaments back then. And people will say, oh, well, the competition was less back then. Yeah, but the pools were different back then, too. You had to play a different set of games than you do now. The bracket is a lot different then than it is now. So there's a lot of things that go into play, but I think people, they just overhype the dynasty talk when it's like, no, if you haven't been on a roster more than I would say 3 years, and if it doesn't rival Cole or Optic and Chips, no, you're not there yet. Unless you win champs twice.
I feel like I feel like 3 years is the minimum, and I feel like that's set by Optic. Optic set that, and Complexity had set that at like 2.5 years, and then Optic hit 3. If we have a team come out that can stick together, consistently win or make it to the grand finals, and I say make it to grand finals because that could just be you don't play well that day, right? It's Call of Duty is to the point where the competition is so high that just like traditional sports, anyone can win. Okay, we freaking LAG won Major 2. Point proven.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's just Vanguard. People say that's
yeah, but like anyone can win, right?
Yeah.
I think if a team comes out, they consistently win and or make it to grand finals, they stick together, and they do this for a minimum 2 years straight, then the dynasty conversation can begin, and it can potentially be cemented at year 3.
Yeah.
Would be fucking crazy. And I think year 3 is a good number. If you look at traditional sports, that's typically what you see as well. Is back-to-backs or three-peats are like what really cement you. If we somehow see a team come out and emerge that sets that to 3.5 or 4 years.
Wild. I mean, Complexity did it over the course of 2 games, Black Ops 2 and Ghosts. Optic did
like
it
2.5, 2.5, because like they were, it was like Optic in World War II, except they actually were good the first half.
Yeah.
And then kind of broke up for whatever reason.
I was going to say Optic did it over the course of, well, more so 3 games, but I almost said 4. But yeah, they I mean, they were
I
they were
would,
not that good in World War II after,
yeah. And if you go pre AW, if you go optic or optic, if you go ghost, um, you could. It's a stretch, but you can maybe get them almost to 3.5 years. Like they still played really well in ghosts all year. They had
Mm,
good placings for the most part, but I feel like the overall placings combined with the roster change prevents you from stretching it to 3.5 years.
yeah, I agree.
But I don't. I feel like yeah. I knew go after LA beat FaZe day one on Vanguard, or after LA beat Optic. At that
Yeah.
point, like I didn't watch any Major Four, so I don't know how good they actually looked when they won that. But
Hmm.
when they beat Optic, I knew that they were probably going to win it. Like
I mean,
Optic
just the.
played like shit, so yes, anybody would have looked good against them.
Hmm.
But they looked like they were playing the game right and they had control of every situation.
Oh
And like
yeah.
at that point, I don't care who you're playing against, that's hard to compete against.
Did you watch 02 100? The champs
Uh
02 100?
no.
I did. There was just a confidence about LA Thieves for champs that it was like, oh yeah, they're winning that tournament. Like they could
Yeah.
tell, yeah, we're going into this match and we're winning this tournament.
Yeah.
So it's a confidence thing. It's about playing the game right. And yeah, I mean, once we got knocked out of champs, I was like,
No,
okay, I don't want FaZe to win, so
now
Thieves it is.
what like if I can make like a simulation matchup for Vanguard, Optic at Major 1, LA at Champs, or
Hmm.
Major 4, I'm assuming they looked roughly the same between those two in terms of dominance. Who's the better team there? Cuz Optic was fucking dominant in Major 1. Like scary good. Like
Scary dominant.
yeah, was LA that dominant? Were they at Optic Major 1 level?
I don't
I
know.
think they were
I think they
close.
were getting there.
I think that there was glimpses of it,
Hmm.
but that's a matchup that, like I said, if I could throw this into some like real world fantasy simulation, that I feel like would be an incredible match. Which I will say also on terms of Vanguard and Champs, dude, the hard points in that game, I didn't play Vanguard enough to really have a solid opinion on it, good or bad. But the
I've
hard
never played it,
points
so
are some of the most intense Call of Duty and intense hard points I've ever watched.
I
Like,
agree. Yeah,
dude, Surge Phase, ridiculous. Like,
yeah. Hard points in this game have been really fun to watch. I will say.
Modern Warfare 2, I want the return of CTF. It's not even that I want the return of CTF. I want the elimination of Control. I think
Why
Control
you
is a
don't like
bad game
Control?
mode.
I mean, we've had
I
some pretty interesting moments come from Control.
I think Control leads to some of the highest hype moments in competitive Call of Duty. My problem with it is biasness. Like a lot of it is defensive team biased. Like a lot of it
Mm,
just ends up one sided. It ends up, snowballing, the spawn trapping. Like it basically it has all the same issues that we had at the core of domination and what made domination not a good competitive game mode.
mm,
It's just faster paced, so it's more tolerable to watch and you think it's entertaining.
yeah,
But the core of like he doesn't necessarily show you who the better team is. It shows you which
yeah.
team wins the first round of kills and locks in the spawn traps quickest.
I think it also depends because it's really dependent on how I would say the older games were built and how they were mechanically played. Whereas now you have sliding, you have
Like
whatever the
I feel
mechanics
like
are
if
now.
you threw the mechanics of today's engine into like Ghost Domination, you would end up basically with what we have now with Control, where it's like it's fast
Mm.
paced, it's fun to watch. At the core of it, it's still not really a good determiner for who's the better team.
Because I'm trying to think of how CTF would work in a game
I don't know
like,
if CTF would
you know.
necessarily be any better. I just like it. It's my favorite competitive game mode, and I feel like it's an
Hmm.
FPS staple in the same way that like some version of Search and Destroy is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be the best decision. I just think it'd be better than Control. I feel like it's more technical than Control.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't play any of these new Call of Duty
Uplink.
games, so yeah, Uplink is a fan favorite. AW Uplink, nothing will beat AW Uplink.
Dude. So I don't know. There was talk a while ago on, well, what if they just did hardpoint and search? Like I'm at the point where I would take that over having Control.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a third game mode that would potentially work, but
I
I don't know.
think,
I mean, well, because now I'm trying to think, would it be fun to watch Demolition?
can we bring back like Headquarters or Demolition or one of the
Headquarters,
OG competitive modes, Sabotage?
Sabotage
One
was a
mode
fun
that I
game mode,
think would
dude.
actually work decently. We've never seen it in Call of Duty, but Strongholds from Halo. I think
I don't know that guy's never played Halo.
it's domination. It's literally domination, but in Halo. But the thing
Hmm.
that's different that I think makes it a better mode is you can capture and neutralize the objectives in like a third or maybe half the time that you do Call of Duty. And I
Hmm.
think that subtle change makes it prevents the spawn trapping because all they have to do is really get control, like kill two of you guys, and then they can get control of that in like 2 seconds.
Hmm.
Like I think being able to have the objectives change hands that quickly affects the pacing in a way that it works well.
Yeah.
We've never seen it in Call of Duty. I don't know how it would work if you combine Call of Duty having a significantly faster time to kill than Halo
Hmm.
and not having power weapons. Like, I don't know if it would work. I'd like to see it tested. Outside of that, trying to think of other titles, and you pretty much every other FPS game just plays Search or some
Yeah.
version of Search.
I mean CS:GO, but the new that Halo game mode where they're holding the skull, that looks
Oddball.
oddball.
Now,
That looks like a really fun game.
I'm pretty sure I didn't play the mode much, but Gridiron in World War II, I think, was very similar to that.
Hmm. Well, it was kind of like
It
Uplink,
was
wasn't
like,
it?
yeah, I think it was like Uplink, but I think they also, I don't know. I feel like there was two separate modes. I didn't play the game
I,
enough. All I played in World War II was War.
all
Like,
I played was Shipment.
yeah. Also, I'm tired of Shipment. It's Nuketown for me. Like we just seen it too much, and I think
Yeah, I
combined
agree.
with the modern engine and the terrible spawns, it's worse than it's
Hmm.
ever been.
Yeah, I agree. They need to bring the original Shipment back instead
Um,
of what
I
they did in MW 2019.
I am really excited. So there's been some leaks for Modern Warfare 2. There's been a recent leak regarding the weapon pool. And in the weapon pool, there is no intervention, which is disappointing. But there is what looks to be an MSR, and
Hmm.
I will take it. Like the
Listen, dude,
intervention is my baby, but the smoothness of the MSR, mm,
you're bringing all the memories back, dude. I mean, MW3 was my favorite Call of Duty, also along with Black Ops
are
1.
yeah.
But I mean, the because I was watching a video, somebody put something on the COD competitive Reddit how they're doing the sound design, and I posted a
Yes.
comment
Dude, it's a
saying
freaking awesome video.
it is a cool video. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you're never going to beat the classic sound effects. You're never going to beat the intervention, the way the intervention sounded, the way the ACR sounded, the FAMAS. Like, just think of Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 has so many iconic gun sounds.
Yeah. It's a thing, it came up on somewhere. It might have been the Optic Pay Texas Twitter or Intel CDL or something, but it was like it was something regarding like menu music. It's like, man, like what was the last Call of Duty game that we had that had like memorable menu music?
Black Ops 2. That's the best one
Yeah,
I
I'm
can think
like,
of.
you have Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. Those are the only three Call of Duty titles that I can think of that have iconic menu music.
Yeah,
Like
I can't think of anything for I mean, I never touched AW.
I played Modern Warfare
Barely
3
played Black
like
Ops 3.
a lot. and I can't remember as many music.
I remember Modern Warfare 3's. It wasn't as memorable as I would say like Black Ops 1 or
Black Ops
MW2.
1 is, I think, the
Is
best.
it's the definitive like yes,
Yeah.
this is
Like,
great.
oh man. Um yeah, the intervention. One thing, it's a small thing, but I really like in Modern Warfare 2 especially, which is my favorite Call of Duty game. And I
Mhm.
think for the record, pun unintended for you nerds out there, Modern Warfare 3 I think is a better game than Modern Warfare 2. I just like Modern Warfare 2 more.
Finally somebody who agrees.
It's
It's
a
the same game.
it's
It's
the
just
same
colored differently.
game with shitty colors. Well, let's face it, it's not as pretty,
It's not as
but
pretty.
it's the same game, but it fixes most of the problems that Modern Warfare 2 had. The most
People were
notable
just
of
mad it
which
wasn't.
is one man army noob tubing.
Hmm.
But like you got rid of that, which is huge. Your maps, like you got rid of some of the death streaks. Did it have painkiller?
No,
No. But
it
it
had
did
something worse, which
have,
was Dead Man's Hand.
yeah. I would take Dead Man's Hand over painkiller.
What did Painkiller do again? It just gave you
It gave
extra
you
health, right?
10 seconds of basically Juggernaut,
Wow.
which, like, I'd be fine with that if I didn't grow up sniping on those games and
Hmm.
getting just driving myself nuts getting hit markers on painkiller. Like, that's, if I
That's
wasn't a
annoying.
sniper, I probably wouldn't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think Modern Warfare 3 was a better game. It fixed a lot of the issues for Modern Warfare 2. It eliminated some of the annoying stuff, and it introduced things like the support kill streak class. It introduced
Specialist.
specialist, everybody.
People always
Specialist.
forget that. Specialist. And then when you get all specialist bonus, you get every
You get
single
every
perk,
perk in the game.
all the perk variations if you have them pro, and you get every single weapon proficiency.
Yeah. It made you a menace. Like, dude, the most fun part, and the only thing that I've experienced in more recent Call of Duty games that have a similar effect is the game mode Cranked that was introduced in COD Ghost, where if you get a kill, you basically gain some speed perks, but you have to get another kill within like 7 seconds, otherwise you explode.
Yeah.
But
I know
like
what
when
you're
you
talking
earned
about.
specialist and all of a sudden you started moving faster because you gained all the speed perks.
Hmm.
Oh, and your gun
It's a
just
very
started.
fun feeling.
Dude, specialist is goated. Like
I
Modern Warfare 3
agree.
is a better game. It introduced the face-off playlist, which I don't understand why more games don't utilize a small team's 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4 playlist.
Those maps were great too.
Dude, all of them.
Like
Erosion,
Getaway, everybody remembers
Aground,
Getaway from MW3.
Getaway. Bro, I used to troll so much on Getaway. So right by the
That
pool,
map is
there's some
great.
glass and there's
Hmm.
a little trail that runs along the side of it. And there's a palm tree back here outside of the map. I'd
Yeah.
sit up on the corner of the glass in a ghillie suit holding a throwing knife. And I would not move. And I would run all the stealth perks, so no red crosshairs, no red name when targeted. And people would spend 5, 6, 7 minutes of that match running right past me. And then they'd eventually get to a point where I could come up and like throwing knife them or stab them in behind. And dude, it was so troll. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers the YouTube channel or series called Hidden Masters, but
No, I never watched that.
my group of friends, our little group and everything, like we were basically doing that before Hidden Masters really blew up. And then it blew up during Modern Warfare 3. And we were like, fuck, like that could have been us. Like if we were recording, like that's exactly what we were doing to people. It's so trolly, but it's so fun. Like,
Yeah, I remember like trying to get out of the maps in those games too. Just the face-off playlist was great. It had
I love
the party mode,
well,
infected. That
I'm a sniper at heart, like I said. So it's like giving me a public 1v1 playlist. Dude, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered, I played those, like that year I played roughly 50-50 on the games. 90% of my time, 95% of my time in Modern Warfare Remastered is in cage match. I
wow,
just 1v1 for hours. It's like the one thing in Call of Duty I don't think I have it in me to get bored of.
it's like being in the gulag.
Yeah, but just snipers. And most people that
Yeah.
go into that game mode are snipers. So like you don't, and it every once in a while you'll run into someone using a machine gun, but you're warmed up and like to do work on them, with a sniper, so rewarding.
I believe it.
Like,
I know that feeling.
bring back face off. Modern Warfare 2. I'm cautiously optimistic. Like a lot of that optimism comes from knowing it's being the things I'm excited for are that it's on a new engine
Hmm.
and that this new engine will be the engine for all Call of Duty moving forward, regardless of who's developing the game. Like they're all gonna Warzone, Modern Warfare, the next Black Ops or Treyarch game, like they're all gonna feel the same.
Hmm.
That's the part I'm excited for. The part I'm worried
Yeah,
about is if the engine sucks and they all feel the same.
I haven't played a new Call of Duty since World War II. So
That's rough. World War II kind of sucked.
World War II was buns, but
What was after
listen,
World War II? Was Black Ops 4?
Black Ops 4, then MW.
Those were probably the last two games that I grinded a lot. Black Ops 4 was the last game that I went all in on camos and like got Dark Matter because
Hmm.
I feel like it was worth it. Dark Matter's a badass camo.
Hmm.
Modern Warfare, we may have mentioned this last time, but I still don't have a single gold gun in that game. It's been out for 3 years. I'm not going
I
to change
just
my playstyle to start leaning on things to finish your dumb challenge.
I don't know what it is. I just after as bad as World War II was, I mean, I had fun with it just because of shipment, but I don't know. I didn't want to try Black Ops 4 because of the health system. Didn't like
Yep,
Stim. I was like,
me
nope, I'm
neither.
not trying that. Modern Warfare 2019, I was like, okay, the game looks good, but everybody's saying it's horrible, especially the pro player community. They didn't really like it that much, and I was like, okay, don't want to try that. Cold War. I had a friend who was telling me, "Oh, it feels like Black Ops 1," and I'm watching that game being played. I'm like, "No, that does not look like
That
Black Ops
no,
1."
it does not feel like Black Ops 1 at all.
And then Vanguard. Vanguard
Cold War
is,
probably
you know,
feels the most unique actually out of almost any of the Call of Duties.
really?
Something about like its movement mechanics feels just different than it feels kind of like Black Ops 4
Mm,
ish. Like it actually the movement system is really smooth. It's probably my favorite movement system of any Call of Duty game.
I believe it.
Like it feels good. Something about it kept me from going back in. Like it wasn't addicting to play.
I just another thing too is like, in the older games when you'd get a kill, you would just get a kill. Now, whenever you get a kill, there's always something popping up at the top of your screen. There's always a sound effect happening after you kill the person. It's like,
See,
why
that's
do we
one
need
thing I
that
was gonna
stuff?
say. I don't know how I didn't get to it, but like Modern Warfare 2, such a subtle thing that I love. But when you would get a kill, plus 100 or plus 50 or plus 500, depending on the game mode, it would come up in big yellow letters. They
Hmm.
were large. They were not these tiny little fonts that were like, plus 100. It's like, plus
Hmm.
100, you got to kill. It made it exciting and really rewarding to earn those kills. And
Hmm.
then stack that on top of basically the same thing, but for kill streaks. Like it
Yep.
was this constant dopamine rush.
I
And
know
like,
exactly what you're talking about.
and that ran from, we basically got like 3 to 5 years of that. Except
Hmm.
I noticed it immediately in the next Call of Duty game in Black Ops 2. Like the text had gotten smaller when it said like plus 100 or whatever when you got a kill. And like, I'm the only person I know of that has actually cared about how large my text is when I get a kill.
I don't blame you.
I just like it's rewarding. It feels like
Hmm.
something big is happening and it's just one kill. But just like in life, if you can make the small things feel big, it makes you keep doing them. And if you do the small things enough, big things happen.
Yep.
We call those big things in Call of Duty an AC-130 or a nuke. And then you have some guy shouting in your ear, enemy AC-130 above.
Enemy
And
AC-130
that was
above. Those
terrifying.
those are great. Yep. Because
It
you're screwed. If they have a nuke as their kill streak, they're getting it most likely.
yeah, like hearing that terror and whatever voice actor recorded that line, give that man a raise for the rest of his life.
It's
Like
in so many
it was
memes.
terrifying. Tactical nuke incoming, terrifying. Now you'll have serious kill streaks come out, and the dude's like, "Yo, we got a nuke coming in, dog. Like, get down."
I
And it's just like,
can't. It's
what?
the
It's a
voice
nuke.
the voice
Like,
acting is not as good as it used to be back in the day.
I'm actually regarding Modern Warfare 2, I'm actually really excited for the campaign.
I haven't seen anything. I don't interest myself with it. If I get MW 2019, it's to probably play it and platinum it. That's it.
So that I'd never played the Infinite Warfare campaign. I've heard only great things about it. It plays and
I've heard
looks
it
and
was
feels
good.
like a movie.
I think even Crimsix said it was like a movie.
Yeah, like I just never did it. Modern Warfare 2019's campaign almost brought me to tears.
Wow.
It is, I think a big part of it is it's pretty good storytelling, but I think we've just reached a point where graphics are so good that it makes it 10 times more immersive.
Hmm.
And like you've played some of the games on your PS5, like you understand immersion better than people not playing on a PC or PS5, aka
Oh,
Xbox
believe me,
users. And I am
playing
a
that
big Xbox fan. I just think that the games on PS5, all the exclusives and single player games utilize graphic fidelity better than multiplayer games.
playing the game that comes with the PS5. I forget what it's called. Astro's Playroom. Playing that game, it's literally just Sony double dipping in their own brand, like because it makes so many references to all of their games because they all
Mm-hmm.
own it. That game was so much fun to play, and it was just Sony double dipping the whole time. Like you,
I
some of the things you get in that game when you finish a level are the consoles itself. The console is in the game and it's a reward. And it's
What I
like
think
there's
is
a
funny about that. Now, I didn't know this. I didn't know that game existed, and I didn't
what?
know
Oh, okay,
Astros
yeah. You
were.
didn't
Yeah,
know Astro's Playroom
I
existed.
think it's funny that Sony is throwing a hissy fit over Microsoft trying to acquire Activision because they're like they're gonna own Call of Duty. What if they make Call of Duty an exclusive? It's too big, and it's like you've built your entire console structure off of exclusive games.
Yeah,
Like, what's your problem with this one? You've got like 20 backed up. You look at the rest of Xbox's exclusives, they're really not that great.
I
They're
mean
not
that would just
selling
give
points to the console.
if Call of Duty ever does become a Microsoft or Xbox exclusive, I think that would just push Sony to create something that would rival it. And in my opinion, something that was so much fun to play back in the day, Uncharted 2 multiplayer. The best Uncharted multiplayer was Uncharted 2 multiplayer. That game was so
Oh,
much fun. Plunder on that game, so much fun.
see, but like, oh, I saw that. Like, Grant, I read the headline. I don't know the details of it. I read a short article actually, and it was basically like they're worried about how it would mess with the market and how it would influence console sales. But I'm
Mhm.
like, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Not only is that an exclusive, you have an exclusive. Same with PS4 Spider-Man. You have a console version of that game.
Well, now it's on
Like
PC, but
now it's on PC. Same with God of War. I'm like,
mhm,
how many exclusives are influencing console decisions in favor of Sony? Most of them.
a
Tell you
lot.
what, no one's buying Xbox for Forza Horizon. All right,
Yeah, nobody.
Gears of War,
Um,
maybe Halo. Not Halo
well,
in recent
def.
times, but like
Yeah,
But like you look at the exclusive, like Sea of Thieves, it's a big game. I don't think it's making anyone to buy the Xbox. It's on PC as well. Like because of the PC overlap, exclusivity is not a big selling point for Call of Duty or for Xbox exclusives the way that it is for Sony.
hmm
I just thought it was funny. I'm like, shouldn't you guys be more concerned with how it affects your contract with Activision?
yeah.
That seems
You
much
would
more
think at least.
directly. And on top of that, they're getting like a class action lawsuit in the UK regarding microtransactions. And so in the UK and another region, they're potentially going to raise the price of the console. Like you guys are getting
Wow.
sued for microtransactions, and now there's information regarding raising the price of your console that just seems counterintuitive,
Yeah, it doesn't make
which
any
is funny because I
sense.
actually love Sony as a brand. TVs, love them. The Sony
I mean,
Xperia
I have a
phone,
Sony TV behind me.
don't I have one in the living room? Like, love it. That's actually a new TV. It looks like you still have your energy saving sticker on it,
Oh no,
or do you just
I've had it. I put it on the back.
I'm like, I know what that I work in that department in Costco.
This is one of the like first, I don't want to say first, but when 4K was like new and
Hmm.
before like people were buzzing around 4K, it was like 2016 that's when I bought this TV. It was one of my first big purchases.
Probably a pretty incredible TV being 8 years old now, 6 years old. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still beautiful.
But yeah, like the Sony Xperia phone, probably the best camera on any phone. It's just that it's running a kind of mediocre version of Android.
Hmm.
Yeah, Sony, love them. I just think some of the PlayStation decisions are laughable.
I don't blame you.
I do want, I would have no reason or no way to do this, but I want to test out that new Pro controller that they're coming out with. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah,
It's
I
basically like
saw that.
the Xbox Elite controller, but for PlayStation 5.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because the Elite controller for Xbox is probably the best controller you can get for Xbox. I'd say
Even better than a Scuff, you
I was
think?
gonna say the Scuff. I think the Instinct is the one for Xbox. The one that the
Hmm.
triggers can turn into mouse clicks. Like
Ooh, yeah, and you can do that with Scuffs too. You can
you can
buy
do it on
them
the
like that.
Impact, I think.
Yeah,
On
I
so
don't have any of
like
them like that though.
this the Elite has trigger stops, but they're not like mouse clicks. That's like the one thing the Scuff has. And I used one at Major One. But
Hmm.
like the Scuffed Instinct is probably the one controller that is as good or slightly better than
Hmm.
the Elite. But the price of them, like this thing's $180 tops.
Hmm.
And it's like you can get it on
It's
sale
very
for like
affordable
130 to 150. It's like a
compared to
Scuffed
Scuffs, which
Instinct,
is
I think,
like,
starts at 180 base model and then goes up the more you customize it. Like I think every time I go
yeah,
in and customize one, they always end up at like $300.
that's true. I
And I
mean,
want one. I want one of the freaking optic ones.
yeah, I haven't been gaming that much. Like this year for me has been very busy, especially like with friends and stuff like that. So I've been wanting to get into more like single player stuff. We were talking about this earlier. But yeah, I can't find the time to game anymore because when I come home, I'm tired. I just want to rest. I don't want to do anything. And then if I'm not at home resting, I'm out with friends, just doing stuff. So yeah, I would
It's
love to get like a new optic scuff or something, but
it's
to me, it's
been
like,
a weird
I don't
year for
know.
me as well. Like started the year off with Halo, grinded Halo to death.
Hmm.
Playing a ton of ranked. Between lack of content and then just general bad connections most of the time. And granted, those bad connections could be part of being, high diamond, low onyx. Like maybe the
Hmm.
player pool is small enough that I'm forced to sometimes get bad connections. But my problem with Halo is like if I jump into a bot lobby by myself, my ping is at 22.
Wow.
Like, shouldn't it be at like 0? I'm by myself. So between like that and then the lack of content, I started just venturing into other games. A game that I did
Hmm.
not think I would have this much fun in, but have been having a blast in is Battlefield 2042. The amount of hate
Wow.
I do not understand the amount of hate that game gets. The connection is great. The gameplay feels great. The mechanics, it's Battlefield. Like I mostly snipe in Battlefield. I like longer ranges. Like
Hmm.
the game, it doesn't have a lot of content in terms of game modes and maps, but like ultimately it has Battlefield Portal, which allows you to combine basically any game mode on any map in Battlefield history. Like
Wow.
you can go back, like they have a Bad Company 2 playlist. Like I can play maps from 2011.
That's dope. I wish more
It's
games did
basically
stuff
it's
like
almost like
that.
the Master Chief Collection Battlefield
Hmm.
Edition, except you can make custom game modes in it and everything. Like that alone, I feel like makes it really good. Now, if we can get the player base up and if they can, add a little bit more additional content for 2042 instead of
Hmm.
having all the old content and like this much new stuff,
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good. And then the other one is Multiverses.
Yeah,
That's a game that I
Multiverse.
looked forward to
It's a
since the
fun
first
game.
time I heard about it. I don't like platform fighters, never have, but
Really?
like Smash Bros. And like I've never been big into them. I'll play
I
them with
grew up,
friends and everything because it's like the thing to do, right?
yeah.
But like I've never been like a big Smash Bros fan.
To the Smash community, this is gonna sound like a heathen comment, but I grew up playing Brawl, not Melee, or however they say it, but I grew up playing Brawl and I loved playing that game. I had a friend who he like trained me in that game and taught me how to play it correctly and stuff. I remember beating three level 9 computers felt so satisfying as like an 11 or 12-year-old.
Sorry, my buddy was just texting me.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
like I have friends like that. Like I have a friend that is more or less just a Nintendo guy. Like he's one of those that grew up with GameCube and like all the Nintendo games that they've been marketing for 20 years and just remaking every 5 years.
Hmm.
Loves them. I've never been into them. Multiverses, I'm having a blast. The connection drives me crazy, especially considering now I
Yeah.
trust that they'll fix it because in pretty much every interview or like pre-release video available on YouTube with the developers, they
Hmm.
talk about how their number one priority is essentially creating the lowest latency servers in gaming.
Hmm.
Like because of how crucial it is in something like a platform fighter. It's like I trust that
Yeah.
they'll get
You
there.
need good connection.
It's been frustrating how bad the servers are, knowing how big of a goal it is for them.
Mm.
Like, I feel like
I
this
think
should have come out and already been decent, not
it'll
bad.
definitely get better over time for
Yeah.
sure.
But the thing that sold me on it was their entire plan around how they want the game to work, the fact that it's designed with co-op in mind. Like it's definitely a co-op game. It's not a game built for 1v1s. You can do it. It's still there. It's designed for 2v2s. The voice lines, the character selection, the map, the fact that they got so many actual original voice actors, the fact that they got Kevin Conroy as
Oh yeah.
Batman, the fact that they got what's his name as Shaggy, the live action and animated voice
Dude,
actor, like
having
um,
Shaggy in that game is so great.
animated Harley Quinn voice actor, the actual I have never watched Adventure Time, but like I know that like they got 90% original actual voice actors.
Yeah.
Like that to me was huge. I would love to see them bring in some various characters from some of their other things, like Neo in the Matrix.
That'd be cool. They
The
definitely will at some point.
Yeah, so like the overall potential for this game, like had to get it, and then I played it with my buddy who we were like best friends growing up. And then high school ends and you kind of go your own ways and everything. Life gets busy, and like we recently reconnected this year with Halo.
Mhm.
And like we've been playing all these games I've mentioned together all year. And like, dude, multiverses for the first week, I was in tears like every night because some funny shit was happening. And
Bruh.
like, and we've done really well. Like, at one point, I was a top 3,000 Finn player in teams.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like once he switched over from Garnett to Batman,
Hmm.
dude, and it's so trolly. Like, I'll just put out a ton of damage and he'll just spend the whole match not getting hit, just dodging. And like, it's just, dude, I love it. If you guys haven't played Multiverses, like, please go check it out. And if you're like, I don't know, I don't like platform fighters, just know that neither do I. And this is the
Yeah,
most fun
same.
I've had in gaming in a long time.
The only platform fighter I liked was Brawl, Smash Bros. Brawl, and the only game that has fighting in it that I play are the Naruto games, and even then, I barely play those
Out
anymore.
of
And the
all fighting games ever, the only ones I've truly enjoyed, Def Jam Fight for New York, which is one of the most iconic games of all time. I am willing to
and
pay
Soweto loves that game.
$200 to get that game on PS2. It is one of the rarest PS2 games, if you didn't know.
Yes, my friend Soweto's told me so many times on PlayStation. He's like, "Oh, Def Jam, Fight for New York." He goes, "That game's wild." He goes, "That
It
game's so
is
good."
like if you guys don't know about it, imagine all the biggest late 90s, early 2000s rappers duking it out. Like it's got Snoop Dogg and like it actually had like it's a Def Jam game, Def Jam record. So like it has their voice lines, their voice.
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg's the villain, Crow. Uh dude, that game's iconic. But like that Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks I played as a kid growing up, so like nostalgic reasons I like it, but not invested. Same thing with one of the Tekken games on PS2. It's like wasn't invested in it, but it was a fighting game when I was a kid that I enjoyed.
yeah,
But like I've never liked Smash Bros. I've never liked the rest of the Tekken or Mortal Kombat games.
yeah. Never liked Tekken or Mortal Kombat myself.
Dude, the Tekken Bloodline show on Netflix. Have you seen that trailer?
No, because I don't have Netflix.
It looks fucking awesome. If you had a friend that like has Netflix or anything, or just like YouTube the Tekken Bloodline trailer,
Hmm.
it looks really good. It's only 6 episodes, so should be easy to knock out of the
Easy to
way.
watch. Okay, I may consider it then. I may ask for somebody's account if they let me use it.
Yeah. Um, I think that's all I've got on here. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you want to talk about?
One thing that I forgot to mention, because this also happened, but I own a Complexity Crim6 jersey with Crim's name on the back. And so
Ooh,
I sent him a DM on Twitter not too long ago, I think like a couple days ago, asking if he was still interested in it, because he was like,
he was willing to
"Hey,
buy it, right?
he was willing to buy and or trade. I would trade for it, but uh, he it was right before the Vanguard season started. So I remember him telling me that he was like, I have to check at my parents' house to see if they have that jersey, but he never got back to me. So I don't know if somebody like if Hitch or Roger or even Maddie, if they see this and they can reach out to him and be like, hey, this guy's still, I don't know if they would do that for me. I'm not asking them to be like, hey, can you do this for me? But I did talk to Krim about it. Krim follows me on Twitter because of that whole day when they were doing the throwback tournament on Black Ops 2. But yes, I will say, I'm hopeful that I'll get my one of one soon from Hex. 2016 championship white, please. I hope Hitch enjoyed the story of how I got this. That was cool. And then obviously shout out to all of my friends, the friends that I went on the Poconos trip with, my friends from church that I also went camping with last week. A lot of fun. Y'all know who you are. And then yeah, shout out Jesus, my Lord and Savior. So I think that's it. I think we're good. This was a good time.
Dude, it
It
was.
flowed so naturally.
Every time. You're one of my favorite people in the community to talk to and just catch up with,
Of
and
course.
to talk merch and optic and movies and everything. So thanks again for
Of
coming on. Thanks again for hitting me up and
course. Thanks for
getting
having me.
first round 2 guest, return guest. I enjoyed it. Like, I didn't know going into this where it was going to go.
It just
The
flowed.
content structure for the podcast is so optic oriented, and getting to know people's story regarding optic, which I already know. So I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? And just like any time that we are on a call together, it just flowed. So one of these times, I'm gonna fly out to Jersey, and you're gonna show me that pizza spot.
Yes. Nudie nudie.
Haha. Yes. All right. Thanks again for coming on. Thank you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, subscribing. Anything you guys do to support or show some love, thank you. Shout out Tiffany. We talked about her earlier. Go follow her. And if you guys want to talk about like movies and things like that, download Hi-Ho. I've been on there more and more. That's it. I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm out.
Peace.